G'day everyone, we're at Grounded Festival in Bridgetown, Western Australia. Matthew Evans' love child. I hope you love farming better, because we are going to bring to you some of the amazing speakers and attendees of this incredible festival to give you a few snippets of the incredible knowledge that's being shared at festivals like this around the country. Come and join us, have a bit of fun. I'm sitting down with Dan Kittredge. Dan, lovely to meet you, mate.
Likewise.
Absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
Dan, could you tell us a little bit about what you do and what brings you to this part of the world?
I run an organization, sort of an NGO called the Bionutrient Food Association. We are working on this topic, nutrient density, which is basically the quality of food. You know what a tomato that tastes good tastes like, and a tomato that doesn't taste good tastes like. That flavor difference is a nutritional difference, and it exists with carrots and peaches and beef and milk and rice and everything else. That nutritional difference connects to human health, connects to soil health, connects to ecosystem function. We think it connects to farm viability, and so we've got this big project we're working on, which is to basically define a 1 to 100 standard in all food. So in carrots, we can say this carrot is 20 out of 100 or 40 out of 100 or 80 out of 100, and the same with potatoes and blueberries. And then the end game is you can have a spectrometer, like one of the cameras in your phone will be able to test that. So literally you can go to your farmer's market or your grocery store, open up an app, flash a light, 20 out of 100 to this bag of carrots, 40 out of 100 to that one, 80 out of 100, and then choose the 80s, leave the 20s, post it on social, tell all your friends, and everybody can choose the best food for themselves and their families, and use that incentive to inspire the supply chain to focus on nutrition instead of volume, which we think will use agriculture to heal the environment and heal humans.
Incredible.
So it's totally fun.
I love what you said there. So nutrition over sort of volume.
Yeah.
How much can that vary, and what is causing this difference in nutrition making it into the product or produce?
Yeah. Well, I mean, nutrition is a complex thing, but if you look at individual nutrients like calcium or phosphorus or polyphenols, it can be 5 to 1 or 10 to 1 or 20 to 1 or 40 to 1. Like, you know, we did a bunch of research starting in 2018, really started testing. I think we did about 10,000 samples of 25 different crops from 2 continents over 5 years, and I think with carrots and antioxidants it was 40 to 1. So this carrot has 40 times as many antioxidants as that one. With sulfur it was 4 to 1. So it's big, it's really big,
so
and it connects.
In layman's terms, then what, so you're having to eat 40 of those carrots compared to 1 carrot, or is that,
if you want to get if you ate the carrot with the highest level of antioxidants, to get that many antioxidants from the carrot with the lowest level, you'd have to eat 40 of them. Whoa. But if it was sulfur, it was only 4.
Okay.
But still, 4 to 1 is a big deal, and that's the range, and that's basically across the entire supply chain with all of our food.
Wow.
The variation's massive, and we're wired with tongues and noses to tell us what's good and what's not.
Yes.
And a lot of the reason the kids don't eat fresh fruits and vegetables is because they don't taste good. They don't taste good because they don't have flavor, because they don't have nutrition.
Yeah.
And that connects to soil health, and that connects to human health.
Incredible, absolutely, imperative. And it's something we've been passionate about for so long, and this has been on our radar, and it's so amazing to see it finally coming to fruition. I mean, but let's just zoom in on the nutrition piece and so what are the themes that are causing this nutrition to make it into some plants but not into others?
From the best we can tell so far, it has to do with the level of life in the soil. It doesn't matter what the soil type is, doesn't matter what your geography is, doesn't matter what your climate, your genetics, your certification, individual practice. It matters overall how much life is functioning. And the more well you're able to work with life, the healthier your plants are and the more nutritious they are. And the more you're just treating it like it's a factory floor, you can produce volume, but that doesn't give you nutrition. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's real simple, and like it's actually like right?
For a lot of farmers, has been a hunch, but now this is actually going to put the evidence in their hands and in the consumer's hands to make a conscious choice, right?
That's the idea.
Yeah.
We think we can completely disrupt agriculture globally through helping people who care about their families choose what's best for themselves and their kids.
Yeah, amazing. People that are more interested in this, how can they get involved in this mission and assist this to come to life and take it further?
Word of mouth is actually really powerful. So, talking about it, we have a website, bionutrient.org, is where the sort of the general education stuff is. The research side is bionutrientinstitute.org. We got tons of stuff on YouTube. We got all the different social channels, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Amazing. If you have one piece of advice for farmers looking to grow more nutritious food, what would it be?
Listen to your land. When you get up in the morning and you walk outside and you sort of get a feel for things and you get this hunch that I need to do this, that's what you need to do. The answer is in the land. It's not in a book. It's not in a machine. It's not in a PhD. Actually, we're wired to communicate with land, and if we're humble and we're vulnerable, it's talking to us all day long. So just listen.
Excellent.
So I am joined with David. What is your last name? Sorry, David.
Watson.
David Watson. Absolute pleasure to meet you, mate.
Pleased to meet you.
We're at the Grounded Fest in Western Australia in the southwest, and I hear that you know all about mistletoe.
I do. Just spread the good word.
Yes.
Infecting minds.
Yep.
And a lot of it's just dispelling myths. There's that word, the P word, parasite. And people hear parasite and they think, oh, no, you've got to get drugs for that. You've got to sort that stuff out. That's not good. And yeah, mistletoes are parasitic plants. They take from their host. But 30 odd years I've been working out and what do they do with all that stuff that they take. And I found out that they're actually weirdly really important in terms of forest and woodland health. And so they support pollinator communities, insectivore communities. But the main pathway that my work has discovered is they take all these nutrients from the tree and they drop it in their leaves, so the tree gets it all back again. But in that litter, there's 5, 10, 20 times the nutrient density of any other plant. And so that kind of supercharges soil health. So decomposition rates of litter go sky high. Carbon sequestration gets much more rapid. Microbes move in, fungi move in, insects gobble them up, insectivores respond. So I mean, you add mistletoe to a woodland, you're adding about 2.5 million more insects per hectare per year.
Whoa.
So it's not subtle.
Yeah.
It's a major effect. And we're worried about insects. Many parts of the world, insects are just dropping off the radar, and the insectivores are following.
Yes.
And so you don't think of most people don't get worried about bugs, but now we're seeing in many parts of the world they're just falling out of the food web.
Absolutely.
And so little things we can do will make a big difference.
Yes.
And within RM stuff, I'm always wary about telling people, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
Do this, as well as a whole bunch of stuff you're already doing. With mistletoes, it's just leave them be.
Yep.
Just less to do. They're a native plant. There's 97 species of mistletoe found in Australia.
Wow.
They've been here since before Australia split off from Gondwana, so they're locals. They're more local than we are, and they perform a weirdly important role. Leave them be, let them do their thing, and they'll be boosting soil health just day and night.
Incredible. So for farmers whose ears are pricked up at the chat about this, what can they do to encourage mistletoe growth on their property, or how can they capitalise on this opportunity?
Sure. So typically I get the other question. It's what do I do? How do I get rid of it? And so just simply asking that question is a powerful thing. It's recognising it's not introduced. It's a native plant. It performs a whole series of really important roles. Leave it be, and maybe just take a moment, park a chair underneath it, and check it out.
Yeah.
And then you'll see for yourself. It's wow, I've seen birds and butterflies there that I never even knew were in my district.
Wow.
And they've been coming here all along because of that freaky little plant.
Incredible. Mate, bloody awesome. Great work. For fellas that want to come and find out more about your work, where can they find? So
I'm pretty easy to find. I've got all my papers are published in peer-reviewed journals, but they're all available online. So just Google Watson mistletoe. You'll get straight to the direct source.
Yep.
And a lot of this information is in a book, Mistletoes of Southern Australia.
Great.
That's freely available, and yeah.
Bloody awesome. Great job, David. Thanks.
Cheers, mate.
Beautiful. All right, I am here with Jill Clapperton. Jill, so good to have you in Australia. I love your work. Do you want to tell, for people that don't know what you do, could you tell us a little bit about your work around the world and then what you're doing here in Australia?
Well, I am a scientist, a freelance scientist. So I actually, I help people do some of their analytics, look at their food, look at their crops, things like that. I call myself a food security consultant as well as a soil health expert. So, because I think they go together. I think if we don't have healthy soils, then how can we have healthy food? And how can we have, a secure food supply unless we look after our soil? So I think they go hand in hand, but sometimes you need titles, so there we go.
I love that.
Here in Australia, I've been with Diane and Ian Haggerty on their farm. We had a bunch of events, and culminating in the Nourish Perth, which turned out really well in the end. A chance to really have the public involved on the farm, and what I was doing here was really trying to help people understand that we as farmers need to pull from the bottom up. We need, it's not about always having it always brought down to us and everything coming from the top down. I want to see us really bootstrapping everything, and I want farmers to be the ones that are really driving the conversation. Yes. And not the other way around, because I think we have too often when we're at meetings and whatnot, it's always people trying to tell farmers what they need to do. Oh, farmers need to be educated to do this. Farmers need to be educated to do that. But really, I think in many ways it's the other way around. We need to teach people, and we need to communicate better what we do and how what we do is so good for the soil, so good for the environment. We purify with healthy soil. We purify the water. We purify the air. We put nutrients into the soil, into the plants, and then into our food. So really, in the end, it's farmers that drive the whole conversation, and we should actually be part of it. Yes. And driving that conversation. So that's what I'm doing in Australia. I'm driving the conversation, and and giving a voice to farmers from a soil health perspective.
Amazing.
So good. People nicknamed Bridgetown, I've heard now today. I'm wearing a couple of layers, but brilliant. We had rain, we had sun, we had laughter, we had tears. I can't believe it went as well as it did. I think what's really surprised me is that when you put together a program, you kind of go, oh, that person's an expert in this, or that person knows a lot about that, or this might be an interesting story. But then when you put it all together and the people are on site, something magic happens. Things that you can't plan for, and those are the magic moments. That's the bit that you go, I really wish, if you have the right energy and the right people, then something other happens, the alchemy, and we saw a bit of that already on the first day. Where there was a whole group of people went out of one of the tents and just gathered in a circle and sang, led by Heidi Mippy. It's like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. No one, that wasn't part of the thing. We won't have captured that on the audio. Look, I think what I'm really looking forward to is how. What I noticed over a couple of days is people start to get more interesting questions. They start to be more relaxed on site. So the people who will be here for 2 days are going to have all these insights from the first days, but also their own thoughts, and they're all going to bring more to the conversation themselves. So, and that reticence to ask a question on the first day, by the end of the second day, everyone's like, their brains are full, but they almost can't stop themselves wanting to think and talk more, and become part of the conversation, not just an observer, but part of the conversation. So for us, because the grounded, the idea of it is it moves, but we want to represent place. So we're on, Galloway Springs farm, this beautiful piece of country but it's made special by the people who live in and around here. So they've all brought their skills and their talent. I have to say, I woke up this morning, it's midnight, there was rain on the Caribbean. caravan roof. It's been raining here for weeks. I was actually a little bit down, and I hadn't seen the site because I've been at the Regen WA conference in Perth, and then I got down here on the site. I walked over the hill and I could smell the earth, and I could smell the gum trees, and I could see the crops and the flowers, and I could see the pasture leaping out of the ground. And then I saw this festival site and my spirit soared, and I was like, yeah, because that's what it's about. We're growers, we're farmers, we're part of, this landscape, this earth is, we're supposed to be part of it, and it's part of us. And then suddenly, having been in a conference center, been in a city, been on aeroplanes, I'm actually back in the real world, and look, with real people who have these noble jobs, creating something delicious and nutritious out of sunlight, air and soil and water.
Lucky enough to be joined by Joel Williams. How you going, Joel?
Good, sir. How are you?
Bloody good, mate.
Awesome.
Hey, how's your tour down under been this time around, brother?
Fantastic. Yeah, really good. Here for a month. Had just over a week in Victoria already, and then just over a week here in WA, and onwards to New South Wales next week. So yeah, and it's gone really well, especially this week here in WA. It's been 6 events, 6 days in a row. It's been feels like there's something really bubbling up under the surface here. It's real great energy here this week with so many things happening.
Amazing. And Grounded Fest so far, we're at day 2. How was day 1, and any highlights that you want to talk about?
Yeah, what a just wonderful little vibe here. I mean, the property that we're being hosted on here at Galloway Springs is just beautiful. I mean, so hard to go wrong when you've got start off with just something so stunning, and so that's been a beautiful backdrop. And then yeah, there's a really nice lineup of speakers. We've had that really nice kind of social dinner last night. We had many of us sitting around the fire, eating some beautiful food, having some beautiful conversations. And I think it's been a lovely little event. It's just really been fantastic. Great to see Matthew Evans kind of really, pushing and driving this and trying to really get more of us together, build that kind of critical threshold around community, and let's kind of use that for get to that tipping point and drive that change.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You travel all around the world, and you are, ankle deep, knee deep, probably wading through this regenerative movement at the moment. What's exciting you most about what's happening on the planet right now?
It definitely feels like there's some seriously good momentum. So not just here in WA. It does really feel like it's building that momentum all over the world, and in many other parts. So I think that's really exciting to see. That it does feel like we are inching further and further, into that mainstream. Yeah. And of course, still you've got a whole spectrum of farmers who are engaged in various levels, from not at all to fully immersed, and to lots of wonderful stuff in the middle. And I think that's always kind of going to be a little bit of that pattern, but I think what's clear is that we are nudging more and more into that mainstream. And I think for me, the thing that excites me is, I come along to a lot of events similar to this and other conferences and the like, and I think the thing that is exciting me consistently is the farmer panel type sessions, or the talks from the farmers. And I think this is kind of this second wave of this whole movement, where we had that initial wave of maybe some of the big soil names and the big soil stars and whatnot, who kind of might have played a really pivotal role in kind of start engaging and getting some inspiration, and it's starting those conversations. But really the next wave and that next generation, it's the farmers who are actually putting it into practice. Yeah. And that's that's the part that of course is much more important.
Yes.
But that of course that is the part that's also it is a bit trickier.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we put in the context principle now, and well, you've got to apply this to your context, and there are so many different contexts. So how we put all of this into practice in those various contexts is the real challenge. And therefore the thing that excites me the most is hearing from farmers who are actually putting it into practice, who are achieving the results, and hearing their stories. And I think they're going to be the next wave of soil stars and speakers as we kind of transition more into nudging that mainstream a bit further along. It's going to be those farmer voices who are going to be those critical agents of change in that next wave. So that for me, that's kind of seeing more and more of this put into practice is what excites me.
Amazing. And for any farmers that may be watching this that are sort of sitting on the fence, or perhaps just wondering how to get engaged into this movement, what advice would you give them?
Oh yeah, I mean, just take that leap, but start small. You know, just like often, start small, and you got to trial something. You know, do something new, do something different, and you've just got to do that on a small area, and try something new. But if you're not sure what to try, these days, I mean, there's just a plethora of resources out there. Maybe you could argue a few too many for some who are maybe trying, but to try to navigate into this. But there's, you know, watch a few YouTube videos. You know, go read a few things. Just find, and again, probably those types of folks might want to hear a little bit more from other farmers. They might be a bit more trusting of what other farmers are doing and achieving. So maybe particularly try and engage in some other farmer-based content, but you know, there's many kind of clusters and networks emerging now, farmer little groups and that kind of thing. So maybe engage with some of those, and that's going to be your opportunity to ask a circle of farmers, okay, what are you all doing, and what's working for you or not, and you're going to get your kind of relevant idea that sticks most for you and that you want to try. So yeah, like try something, just start small, but you know, it does all start with a little bit of education, re-education, opening your mind. So get out there and just, you know, read a few things, watch a few things, maybe chat to a few others, and see what, particularly if they're local, because then you're going to get that local context and folks who are doing something relevant to your context, and see what's working for them and kind of start there.
Amazing. Hey Joel, thanks so much. Keep up the great work, brother.
Cheers.
All right, Grounded Festival Day 2. Lucky enough to be joined by David Pollock. Dave, lovely to meet you, mate.
Thank you. It's amazing. It's a great festival. I'm loving the vibe.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your operation, where you're farming?
Yeah, so we're about 1,000 kilometres north of here, in the rangelands, Mulga rangelands. So we're a couple of 100 k's inland from Shark Bay. So yeah, from Woolleen Station, it's 134,000 hectare property. We have cattle and tourism. Tourism is our main business, and that kind of pays for fixing the landscape so we can do pastoralism better, essentially.
And farming with some pretty big challenges out there in a pretty brutal environment, you would say. Could you just place us like contextually of your rainfall and soil type sort of? Yeah,
so like our rainfall is about 210 mils, and in the past, you know, some years probably 150 mils of that just flowed off the property. So you know, huge erosion issues from a long legacy of overstocking, and really no effort being put into trying to recover the landscape, or certainly not in the scale not anywhere near on the scale that was necessary. So yeah, the challenges are a degraded landscape, and far too many animals eating the plants that are left over. Really, all the good plants being gone, to the point where a lot of people, you know, have never seen them, you know, in their whole lifetime.
And I would say they wouldn't even exist.
Well, not in that area, yeah. Like people talk about, we like perennial grasses, you know, is the main one. Tolerable perennial grasses. They provide energy in a landscape where there isn't very much, so they were grazed out first, essentially. So nowadays, you know, I talk about perennial grasses, and some pastoralists, probably the few that hear me talking about them, say, like, what are you talking about? Like, which grasses? Like, but there's a whole host that certainly I never saw when I was a kid, and when I started looking for them, I didn't find any. And you know, but over time and with with actively trying to get them back into the landscape, you know, that's sort of shown that they can grow pretty much everywhere. There's grass for pretty much everywhere. But yeah, they've just been trashed by certainly by overstocking, but continuous stocking is the thing. So continuous stocking just systematically takes out the best species, and you're left with the rubbish 130 years later. So that was sort of what we inherited.
Yes, okay. And these aren't necessarily domesticated or trading animals that we're talking about that are grazing this landscape. Yep. So since the dingoes were, the area with sheep, you know, there was a lot of money in wool in the early days. So that's, you know, the area's was sheep for wool for, you know, 130 years. And in order to have the sheep, they got rid of the dingoes because they couldn't coexist, and that meant the kangaroo population went through the roof. Feral goats came in, and they were exerting about 60% of the grazing pressure, so more than the sheep were exerting. But the real problem with that, well, apart from the fact that it's more grazing, the other problem is that those are unmanageable animals because the fences don't contain them. So we've never developed good grazing systems out there that involve rest for paddocks, because there was no point in involving those grazing systems, because most of the animals were unmanaged. So it meant that you could never rest an area. So dingoes came back into the landscape, but we didn't reintroduce them, but the profit went out to the pastoral industry to the point where dingoes came back of their own volition, because we simply didn't have the capacity, or the pastoral industry didn't have the capacity to resist them coming back, and they've taken out all the goats and 90% of the kangaroos, reduced the kangaroos from plague proportions down to a much more manageable level. When I say manageable, I don't manage them at all now. And that means that we can now introduce good grazing systems like rest-based grazing, rotational grazing. Yes. So that means that we can rest areas and we can get those good pasture plants like the palatable perennial grasses back into the landscape, and that means that pastoralism can be productive and profitable. So yeah. Amazing. And you've seen some pretty incredible results since the dingoes have come back and reduced that consistent grazing pressure.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like, all of the country should have an understory. You know, when I was a kid growing up, like 30 years ago, if you ducked down, then you could see for miles, because there was just a perfect browse line on any tree that was edible. You stood up, you couldn't see very far, but you ducked down lower than a sheep or a goat can reach, and you could just see for miles. No understory. Now we've got an understory, you know, coming through everywhere. You know, the landscape recovers quite slowly because we don't get much rain, but nonetheless it is recovering everywhere. And we've got riparian trees like you know, eucalypts and casuarinas and callistemons coming back into the riparian areas where there hasn't been any new generation coming through since we got rid of the dingoes. So for like 80 to 100 years, there's been no new generation of those critically important riparian trees, which, you know, is just a ticking time bomb for the future. Like it's not fine now because there's a lot of erosion, but there's lots of big trees now, but there's been no new ones since, you know, the 1930s really. So if that was allowed to continue, we would lose those, you know, iconic trees in those river systems. So yeah, it's 18 years in, so I'm not saying it happened quickly, and I don't think it really can happen quickly in that landscape because it doesn't get much rain. It doesn't take, and the plants are very old. Yes. So it's taken a fair while, but yeah, we're definitely getting a good idea, or some idea at least, of what the landscape should look like. Yeah.
And that's you mentioned last night at dinner that that's not just happening on your property now, but actually neighbouring properties are seeing some benefit to reducing the dingo.
Yeah, I mean, there's dingoes all through that country now. There's no goats through that country. There's no foxes anymore. You know, we used to have tons of goats and foxes. We you know, not just us, but like the whole foxes and goats have disappeared out of most of the southern rangelands, which is an area the size of France. It's not an insignificant area. So, you know, they also have dingoes in lower amounts to us, but yeah, they're also getting back those riparian trees. You know, depending on their stocking levels, they're getting back some understory. People in the district are talking about their House Creek flowing clear, and they're like, the House Creek flowed clear, like we didn't even realise it could do that. And, you know, like you kind of think, well, you know, like, why might that be? You know, like you haven't actually changed anything. But yeah, there's more ground cover, so you're not getting as much erosion, and you know, the creeks are flowing clear. The Roderick River, which terminates on Woolleen, has flown clear since about 2010, and you know, you couldn't have a better example of what we're doing is working than the river flow. Like all of that area, everyone's just used to these murky brown rivers, and everyone thinks that that's how they always were.
Yes.
And maybe in a really big, sharp, you know, rain event, maybe they would have had enough erosion to cause that. Yeah. But nowadays, like the creeks and the river flowing into Woolleen, it flows clear. I still can't. Like it's been 15 years now of me watching clear streams, and I still can't get over it. It's just crazy. It's like I can see my feet in this water. It's like it's a foot deep, and you know, in the old days, you pick up a bit of water in your hand, you wouldn't be able to see the bottom of your hand, and it was easy to go to places that are still like that. So yeah, it's crazy how well it's working. And really, when I say it's working, you know, the dingoes are responsible for, wow, I mean, so close to all of it that it's not funny, because we destocked, but you can't really destock if you've still got 60% of the grazing pressure there. So, you know, the dingoes are so critically important for that landscape. Yeah.
A little controversial one to chuck out, but dingoes versus wild dogs.
Yeah. So a lot of people ask me, oh yeah, but are they dingoes or are they wild dogs? And the mere fact that they're asking that question shows that they think that there's a difference between those two, but there isn't. Wild dogs is simply the name we've given, when I say we, the industry and government that supports it, it's the name that has been given to dingoes so that we can kill them with public money without the public knowing about it. 96% of the dingoes, well, they've over the past 10 years, they've taken 2,500 DNA samples from animals killed under the name wild dog. 96% of those are pure dingo. A further 2.5% are more than 80% dingo, so like you wouldn't be able to tell them from a dingo. So what's like 99% are dingoes. And yet, yeah, like we put so much effort into killing them, which is purely a cultural thing, which is, yeah, I've coined the phrase "culture trumps common sense."
Love that. What a great note to end on. Hey, David, lovely to meet you, mate. Look forward to getting out there.
No worries. Yeah. Welcome anytime.
And I'm sitting with Arno from Into the Wild.
Into the Wild.
Lovely to meet you, mate.
Lovely to meet you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so Into the Wild is, we want to help people to reconnect with people with the nature, and what a great idea to have actually land from land partners, much as farmers who have like piece of land, they know using it, and they can have an extra revenue out of the partnership that we're offering them.
Yeah, so it's like an additional enterprise for farmers.
And exactly, so they generate like passive income, like a true passive income for having us here, and we customize their partnership if they want to be involved more or less with this. So they can, having like an involvement like housekeeping, maintenance, providing products to the guests is generating more revenue out of this partnership.
Sounds amazing, mate. What about, so did farmers have to pay upfront for any of this experience? Or?
So absolutely not. We actually cover all the costs, like deployment, the tiny house, like where we are, the deck, the bath. They have no deposit to give. Everything is like pure passive income with us.
Wow. So all farmers really need is a beautiful place, and you guys come and put a little home on it.
So the only requirement from the land partners, it will be like the access. So we need to come to the site with a truck with who's storing the tiny that you see behind us. So we need like a two-wheel access to the site. Then, you know, to just avoid any situation with snakes, we ask as well to just mow the area where the tiny is. But after that, it's nothing. It's easy.
Yeah, amazing,
yeah.
Mate. And you guys have sponsored this incredible event. And how
very proud of that.
About little tiny Matilda.
Yeah, so tiny Matilda sitting on the land of the Johnsons. Great partners. So proud of them to offering this opportunity at this event, and yeah, running pretty much very well. Matilda is so successful here in WA. We want to extend any partnership with more landowners like them, that we very love working with them and proud of them for what they're doing for the community.
Amazing. Well, great stuff, Arno.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm with Matt Fox at Grounded. Lovely to meet you, mate.
Nice to meet you too, mate.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do at Cherubino and
yeah, sure.
how you go about it?
I'm the head viticulturalist for Cherubino, so I'm responsible for all of our viticultural program that's overseeing all of our fruits grown in the 3 different regions, Margaret River, Pemberton and Franklin River, and ensuring the day-to-day running of vineyards and the managers on those vineyards, and ensuring the quality of the fruit and the daily running of those sites.
Incredible. How's the year been so far?
Fantastic. Yeah. Vintage 25 was amazing, really good, top quality all round in all 3 regions, so it's
excellent.
Great start.
I won't take your word for it, I might have to try some myself. I hear you're doing some pretty cool stuff over there. Could you tell us a little bit about the carbon neutrality and what you guys are working towards there?
Yeah, sure. So we're working towards, we're working along with carbon friendly at the moment, along baselining for the company out at Franklin River specifically. We're also working in the process with that team to expand that out to our other vineyards and regions, and it encapsulates a whole number of different facets into what we do as day-to-day operations. A large chunk of that is our cover crop program with multi-species mix, and working down a regenerative farming style route. Yep. Cutting back significantly on synthetic fertilisers, and also working with a number of different companies like Multicraft for boosting soil microbial activity through some of their products. Yeah. And yeah, just really working hard to change the process and style of how things have been done in the past, and just keeping a closer eye on what we're doing on the land to do the best that we can for it to produce the best possible wine.
Any messages you want to send to, while you're on the platform, anything you want to send to farmers that maybe weren't here, maybe farmers that were here?
I think what's really special about a Grounded event is that it is on farm, and but for the producers and food growers here, I think it's just, and anyone in this space of, wanting better farming practices, thinking about choices for the future, like improving the soil, what you're doing matters. So, we all, regeneration is that sort of 1 step forward or 2 steps forward, 1 step back all the times. And, it takes time, but when you come to events like this, you go away just knowing what you do really matters, and that's important.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Rupo. It's been magnificent to have it. Yeah, so welcoming, so thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Okay.
it's been incredible. Like today we had sunny weather, warm. I took off layers all day till I was virtually in a t-shirt. The crowd, I think the energy levels build up over the 2 days. My energy levels sort of go the opposite way. But people get bolder with their questions. They get bolder with their thinking, and for me, that just creates this fuzzing energy level that happens all over the site. I think the reason why we don't have people zooming in is not just because we're too cheap to get screens and deal with the technology. We think the really important connections happen in person. So yes, there's brilliant speakers all around the world, but I can watch them on Zoom from my house. So the really important stuff is actually the stuff that happens around the event. So it's a little bit afterwards, a little bit in between. It's that personal connection, and you can get information over the screen, but you don't get that beautiful humanity that happens in real life.
All right, legends, thanks so much for joining us at Grounded 2025 in Bridgetown. What an absolutely spectacular weekend. Heard from the biggest hitters, heavy hitters in the world on regenerative and farming better. Thanks so much for joining us, and tune in for the next Grounded Festival coming to you in 2026 in Melbourne, Victoria. Stay tuned for that one. But once again, thanks for tuning in to the Smartsoil channel. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. It really would help us out a lot. Thanks.